What's going on, tea people? This is Denny.
And this is James from TeaDB, bringing you episode number 191. We got some raw pu'erh. It's from 2009. It's from another fancy pants Taiwanese vendor, Xizihao. So we're gonna get going.
It's good drinking.
People, this tea is very complex when I had it last time. So people have recommended that I drink it with Denny.
Cool.
So he could help us put our finger on this tea.
Great.
So, respects to Denny's palate.
Got you, fam.
Shoutouts to my mom.
Got you, mom.
Alright, so we're gonna do a quick rinse here. You could probably drink the rinse. Let's take a quick smell of that.
Vegetable patchy.
Yeah, still actually pretty light in the aroma.
Yep.
Maybe it's partially because we just had that Alishan, so
More fragrant.
that is a bit more fragrant than this tea.
And ratios, what's the deal?
We're using 5 grams for 75 milliliters, so pretty standard stuff as far as this is going.
This is a 2009.
And it has been aged in Taiwan, so it looks like this steep's a little bit light. So
Yeah, it's looking a little purple.
Yep.
Cool. Let James work on that while this cools down for a second. No need to rush your sessions, y'all. We do it because we care about maximal caffeination on behalf of you, the audience. But you guys don't need to go as ham as we do when it comes to brewing these out over the course of 12 minutes.
We brew very fast because we don't want to be talking here for 55 minutes. Like, this is not the flow of a normal tea session or a normal conversation. We're not, but we also don't want to bore you guys with the details of our daily lives. Maybe some episode.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
It's actually got a
Decent body
on it already, isn't it?
I know, right? No. Despite the color,
it's definitely really light, but the body is coming out quickly.
there's more aroma off of that.
Yeah, it's got a nice sweetness. It's really transforming aroma aromatically. I was getting a vegetable patch on it a little bit. It's a little bit more, I don't know, like plum sweetness a little bit.
Yeah, kind of tropical fruits too, a little bit. It's sort of like bright in that way too.
That's a good description. Yeah, this is nice. Although we are not even close to getting into the meat of this tea. And it looks like, I'm wondering what the color of the liqueur is going to end up being. Cause it's really not kind of purple.
Yeah, it's kind of, purple. Purple is a good way to put it. It's not yellow, it's darker than that, but it's definitely not orange yet.
And so this is stored in Taiwan, pretty humid storage, correct? Or would you call it as humid as?
I'd say it's, certainly more humid than Seattle, but this is not what I would consider overly wet.
Sure.
I'd say it's a humid climate, but like dry-ish for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm learning. Cheers, y'all.
Cheers, guys.
Really nice body. Really sweet. I'm getting very little pu'erness of this.
Pretty palatable for a youngish raw.
Yeah, I was gonna say it does not taste as young as it is.
I get the body is about the same as the original steep. I get a lot of sweetness as well.
Yeah.
I get some
A little saltiness too.
that's a good way to put it. So a little bit of sea-like, some throatiness, some lingering sweetness in the throat, in the back of the mouth.
Yeah, and the salt, I think, brings out the flavor a little bit, and also has that kind of, maybe it's my senses playing a trick on me, but there's sort of that textural viscosity aspect of the saltier, I guess, drink.
Now that you mentioned that saltiness, it's hard for me to unsee.
Right. Or in this case, maybe unfeel. And look at so the brewing vessel here is
Pretty full.
getting much more full. And these steepings, the steeps are,
Okay, so that's a little darker.
yeah, that's gonna be much stronger. Getting more yellow. I smell that.
Very sweet smells. The smell has changed again. Kind of like, I don't know, I want to say like sweet fern or more like woody tones.
I totally agree with the woodiness, yeah. I was gonna say that. Yep, 100%. It went from vegetable patchy to a little bit sweet, fruity, and then more kind of like leaves, autumn,
like
earthy.
Wood-ish.
Yeah. It has a leaf tea smell-ish.
Ah,
It's like when red wine is kind of grapey.
how could that
Only on TeaDB.
Yeah.
Alright, cheers, y'all.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. So this is evolving and changing a lot.
Yeah. I'm getting more soft but big viscosity and dry fruit tones to this. More astringency in this brew too.
Yeah. It's a little bit of I wouldn't call it tartness, but yeah, more stuff going on in my mouth for sure. Still sweet though. I wouldn't call it
No, yeah.
Bitter or particularly tannin-y.
Yeah. And I would say that the flavor, despite it being maybe slightly astringent, the flavor that lingers is predominantly sweetness, and I would still say this is pretty darn sweet for a raw pu'erh of this age in storage.
Feeling this already, that's for sure.
Getting some energy off of it.
Yeah, 100%. I don't know if I would call this a warming tea though. It doesn't have that. It's kind of a pretty midway there sort of tea for me. Getting really yellow now, and I think this steeping that we're going to be drinking, the upcoming steeping, is going to be one of those most full-bodied and strongest. But I'm impressed. This is one of those teas that you have to pay attention to track what's going on with this. Not only is the aroma evolving, but each steeping has been pretty different. I think it's kind of sticking into. We're getting sort of into those core.
I'm getting like
a little eucalyptus-y vibe going on in this too.
Huh. I'm getting like sweet herbal Asian candies for this a little bit. But eucalyptus could be right on actually. Some interesting florals.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this tea is definitely like, we're sniffing the Gaiwan, or we're sniffing our Shibo an awful lot, but that's for a reason right now. It's because it's each steep almost, it's like very different.
Yeah, this is an entertaining, exciting tea.
Cheers.
Cheers. Ooh.
Nice texture.
Yeah. Wow. I got a little bit of a maybe just like the slightest cherry tomato, and then into like a really that sort of passion fruit sweetness, and then coming back to that sort of like leafy, woody, eucalyptus sort of autumn vibe. Great viscosity. This is awesome.
I'm also the sort of the energy of the tea has definitely been building. I'm getting chestiness, lots of sweet fillings lingering in the throat. And this tea is going to continue to evolve. I'm going to do just one last steep for the episode.
Okay.
But it's certainly been an interesting tea, and I feel like we're beginning to scratch the surface a little bit on the essence of this tea. But
there's a lot going on. This tea doesn't have quite as many of those, I would say, like sort of high notes that are difficult to articulate. I think this is a tea that has the evolution of the sort of strong front of this tea throughout is just changing, and we're riding that wave. I'm not, maybe because of the potency of it, I'm not as capable, well, at least with this session, maybe it's just me today, but of detecting those little subtle notes quite as much. So I think this is more of sort of that like middle of the bell curve, intense, strong, and delicious teas for me. So definitely some strong flavors. I'm feeling this. Holy crap!
And definitely dynamic as well. That is clear. But yeah, I agree. It's very complex. It's very dynamic, steep to steep. But I don't know. It's just challenging because it's changing so much each time. It's like you don't have another steep to revisit those same flavors.
Absolutely.
It's like very different.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
I'm also impressed by how thick this tea is remained.
Yeah.
I think these next teeps I've pushed a little bit more. I'm getting actual bitterness out of this one.
But this has this really wonderful, sweet, syrupy viscosity that, again, maybe it's that sort of sensory confusion where I'm feeling that texture and it makes me think it's sweet or sweeter than it really is. But there's this sort of like 1/3 of the way through just wave of kind of those like crisp, brighter, drier fruit flavors that it's really enjoyable.
I think that's a great way to put it. I think some of these later steeps, as we pushed it a little bit more, you can be hit with a little bit of bitterness up front or a little bit of astringency sort of on the finish, but ultimately it still is very sweet, and that sweetness, that wave of sweetness, as Denny put it, is sort of like what lingers for this tea, which is very enjoyable.
And it's getting more red and orange as we're brewing it out further. We'll get some close-ups of that on the shot. But this is a really great tea. This is a tea that's going to have a lot of longevity.
Yep. Thank you to Peter who sent us this sample.
Thank you, Peter.
Yeah, and great idea to have Denny drink it. I think it's been a enjoyable tea for the both of us.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So if folks wanted to find this tea...
you would need to hunt it down. I think it is possible to hunt down, but it's not a readily available tea. The tea is by Xizihao. It's called the Diangu. That is the tea that we are drinking. Yeah. Supposedly from Northern Yunnanese material. I don't know. It probably depends, but it's not a cheap tea, no matter where you find it. But I think you could probably find it for around $1 a gram, so decently expensive.
There is this incredible saccharin thing going on with this tea that is just not stopping. I expected it to sort of die away. It feels like it's almost getting stronger. The sweetness, like some of those other flavors are sort of dying off. Maybe there's a little more of the earthiness coming into it, especially lingering. But my goodness, there is just a really strong current of sweetness in this tea that's pretty unique, I have to say. I'm not used to that happening, especially with something like this being this young. And
so how would you place this tea personally? Like, where does this tea rank in sort of like the like
tea
semi-aged? Yeah, the tea ether.
This does not strike me as a young raw at all. I don't think it has those super old mellow flavors either, though. There's definitely, especially now in these steepings, a little bit more of that astringency. So sweetness wise, I mean, it tastes like a raw pu'erh for sure. But gosh, I don't know, man. This is just one of those, I don't want to call it an oddball tea, but just a very unique sort of category-defining tea. It's got a lot of different stuff going on in it that don't really align with certain things that I've been drinking. So,
and I think it is kind of an oddball tea. It's a very unique tea. We've had, at this point, many different types of raw pu'erh. Many different types of raw pu'erh that are approximately this age. Yeah. But this is a very unique and very different tea. So it's been a pleasure to drink.
Yeah, thanks again, Peter.
A pleasure to enjoy. And I think the context that we're drinking this tea, sort of a concentrated session with another person that really likes tea, is probably the best way to enjoy this sort of beverage, because it's a tricky one. It's unique. It's different. Even to pu'erh heads that have had a lot of tea, I think this would be a very engaging brew.
Yeah, absolutely. So if folks want to learn more about Tea James, what should they do?
Yeah, come check us out at TeaDB.org. Again, thank you to Peter for sending us this tea. Hit that subscribe button down below. Leave us a comment and let us know what you guys thought of this episode.
Do it.
And follow us on Twitter, Instagram. Shout outs to Denny's mom. Word up. And
we're just gonna go with the mom shout out.
Yeah.
Just exclusive. I'd like to thank my mom. I'd like to thank I'd like to thank the Academy.
Yeah.
But really though, thanks Peter. And for you folks out there, if you want to comment, let us know what sort of middle-aged Raws that you guys have had that sort of defy the categories. Something like this for us, because we'd love to hear from you folks. Also, before we forget, we were going to say this at the beginning of the episode.
Yes.
We totally forgot. Please comment below and let us know what kind of teas you guys like us to be trying. We have not done a lot of Japanese green tea at all.
Very long time.
They were really successful and popular episodes, so we're thinking maybe we'll do that again. So if you folks want to get in touch with us about that, if you have some that you want us to try on the show or a recommendation, do email us tdborg@gmail.com. And you can subscribe to all the stuff at tdb.org as well. But we'd love to hear your feedback. Let us know what teas we haven't been drinking. We have our own blind spots for sure, and there's plenty. The tea world is an enormous world, so let us know. And we'll see you guys next time.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.